What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Investing Bros live show. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always go live on the weekdays here at this time. Got a lot to break down for you today. I can already see a lot of you coming in, joining us early because you don't want to miss a single second of the show. And here's what we're talking about today. Of course, the markets are dumping. The question, though, is why? And how far down could Bitcoin go before this dump is over? We'll be talking about that. We have some takes from whales. We have some takes from expert traders. We're to help break that down for you. We're also going to be discussing some altcoins because there was an interesting article written that there are 3 altcoins that a lot of people probably hold in their portfolio that should be sold right now. We'll answer that question. Should they be sold, or are people capitulating just a little too soon? And in the third segment, we'll be talking about everyone's favorite topic, taxes. How can we fix the world problems in the world of taxes? Make sure you don't miss a single second of the show. Smash the like button if you enjoy it. And if you also enjoy it, you got to hit subscribe as well. We're the Investing Bros. Let's roll the intro. All right. What is going on? T-Shroom back in the house. You everything squared away yesterday at home, T-Shroom?
I've got about 70% of things squared away,
There we go.
Tim.
Well, it's more of like a triangle is what you have. You have the triangle.
Yeah, when you have a wedding and you have probably close to a ton of decorations and you're storing that in your house, there's a lot of logistics that go into it. And we're having fun, and it was an amazing wedding, an amazing honeymoon, and I'm glad to be back, back in the charts, back in the news.
Listen, I'm glad you're back too. I do have a very important question for you before we get into the crypto conversation. How are you doing today?
Well, Tim, I'm doing a lot better than I deserve, and I know that I don't say that a lot. I maybe be a little bit more modest than I give myself credit for, but I am better than I deserve today, Tim.
I'm very, very glad to hear it. We're going to jump into our market open here, guys. Really quickly, you share my screen. I'm going to talk more about these later on the show, but the sponsors of today's video, Nashville, the Bitcoin Conference, July 25th, 27th. Talk more about them later. Also, we're brought to you guys by Arculus Cold Wallets. You guys looking for a good cold wallet? Arculus is your man. Check out the link down below in the code. We'll talk more about those later. Let's check out the markets right now, though. And I wish I could see the daily chart. It's a sea of red, but nothing. Well, it's actually because it's so consistent. These are bigger numbers. That's a smaller bubble than normal. Stacks 11%, Bonk 11%. Didn't mean to click you there, Bonk. Injective 10%, WorldCoin 9%. Usually when you get 10% of the daily chart, the circles are bigger. The difference is, though, that there's just a lot of coins down around 10%, so they're balancing each other out on this scale. Sea of red, except for there's 2 coins on this list. One of them is right behind my face, so I'm going to fix that here in a second. But Not Coin is one of them, up 9.4%. And the other, it's Big Brother, the exact opposite, though, Ton Coin. Ton Coin and not Coins, they're not the only bullish ones. Uni's bullish, Akash is bullish, but they're pretty much the only 2 majorly bullish coins. Why that is, I don't know. I just wanted to show you guys that they were bullish. Really quickly, super chat from Thomas L. Happy 11 months of marriage, bros. Member for 11 months. Wow. One more month and it'll be a year. Shout out to you, Thomas. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let's keep going on. What's happening inside of the top 10? I got it nice and zoomed in for you guys. Sometimes you might just have to trust me on the numbers because the print was so small. Last 24 hours, it's funny. People are really upset, but Bitcoin's only down 2%. I mean, you would think that the world was falling based off of Twitter polls. But Bitcoin's only down 2% in the last 24 hours, guys. We'll discuss it, what that could look like. I'm not necessarily saying the dip is over, but I am saying that it's funny people are freaking out about a 2% dip. Ethereum's down 2.7, BNB a measly 1.5, Solana's down 5%, XRP is down 3%, Dogecoin 7% in the last 24 hours. As we mentioned before, Toncoin up almost 5%. Cardano's down 5%. Sheeb is down 7%. So is AVAX. So some big losers there in the top 10. You know what our mood is, though, here on the channel, T-Shroom? How do we feel here at the Investing Bros when everything goes red on a day?
Greedy. that's when you deploy capital. That's when you buy low in anticipation of eventually selling high.
Very good. Did you guys notice also, we did a little switcheroo for pretty much the entirety of this show, and we're about to jump into Bitcoin TA and look at what's happening there. Have you guys ever noticed that I was always on the left and T-Stream was always on the right, and that meant that we were always looking away from each other? Well, now we have fixed it. We're in our proper places. No longer can you refer to me as just the guy on the left and T-Stream just the guy on the right. We have switched places, but we look at each other, so
that's right.
It's actually really nice.
Another big change.
It's good to finally see you.
Is that I've been just absolutely gobbling biotin, and I'm trying to catch up with you on my beard. So
good.
You're gonna have to make some changes because I'm coming up, and I'm gonna grow a longer beard than you.
Well, here's the deal, guys. We got to get into Bitcoin charts. We already 6 minutes into the show, T-Stream, 433 people already here.
Let's go.
That means we're gonna have a lot of likes here as well. Let's go ahead and jump into Bitcoin's chart and talk about it. Why is Bitcoin falling and what are the levels below? Now, I will start off by saying in today's show, I'm going to tell you about some things that I got wrong. We always tell you when we get things wrong. I'm going to tell you about some things I got right because you do need to know when we predict things are going to happen and then they happen pretty much as we expect. One of the things I will say, if you guys watched the morning video, this morning, we are mostly talking about altcoins. I gave you guys my top 5 altcoins I'm purchasing right now. You guys gave some beautiful suggestions below on other coins that are great purchases as well. I just had to choose top 5. But I had to start the video off by telling you guys where I'm purchasing those coins has a lot to do with what Bitcoin is doing. And ultimately, I told you, while I can never predict things with a crystal ball, because I don't have one of those things. If you have one, let me know. I'll buy it off of you. But I did have a hunch that Bitcoin would drop below 66 and make its way down closer to 64,000. I had this nice purple line at about 64,400. The truth is, though, that's just kind of a zone. In reality, it could go anywhere between when we just bounce around 65,000. It could even go all the way down to about 64.2. This puts us well within the daily strong support level of 64,200, all the way up here closer to 66. This is major support. I'm not surprised we lost 66, and I won't be surprised if we end up wicking to or below this purple line right here on 64. Now, if we do lose that level, of course, every single time we lose some support, we got to start looking at what the next level below us could/should be. And right now, even though my oscillators are showing we are overextended, we could be seeing a bounce at any time. At the same point, I got to look at the next level of major support, and we're looking at around $61,000 to $60,000, where we have a very strong order block here on the daily chart. Now, an article will be talked about a little bit later where we'll explore the concept of maybe, just maybe, we could drop even lower. But right now, we have two very strong levels, 64,000 and 60,000. Both are very, very important. I'm going to reference this later on in the show as well, but go ahead and T-Stream, show them my other screen here. Now, this is an area, I told you guys, I'm going to tell you when I'm wrong. And this is another one of those weird circumstances where I was right, but then I kind of changed my mind based off of new information. But then all of a sudden it turns out I was right all along, if that makes sense. Those who have been here for a while, do you remember what we were preaching back in March as we were heading up to not only new highs for the bull market, but new highs for Bitcoin as a whole? I daily, probably annoyed the crap out of most of you, daily would talk about how, hey guys, historically, we're getting close to the halving event. That's where this yellow line is right here, back on April 20th. We're getting close to the halving event. And while the halving event is fundamentally very bullish for Bitcoin moving forward, we traditionally fall into the halving. If we didn't have to deal with a major pandemic right beforehand, we traditionally fall into the halving and then after trade sideways for upwards of 3 to 6 months. And I told you guys, I drew this yellow and red box way back in March. I said, do not be surprised whatsoever if we have a couple of wicks and candles come down as low as 55,000, maybe a couple candles rematching the all-time high, like a double top back up here around 70, almost 74,000. But the majority of between March and August of price action more than likely will stay between 72,000 and about 60,000. I drew these lines back in March. Now, what happened was, this is what I predicted before, and this is looking like it's going to very much come true, my March prediction. The problem is we got back up here, And even though we didn't break through it, there was so much bullish momentum as we were pressing back up against 72,000 that I did say, you know what, guys, I might have been wrong. We might end up hitting 80K earlier than I thought, sometime in June or July. So I kind of gave you that possibility that we could have made a move towards 80K. Guess what? We double topped on 72 here within the last month from today's date. We've lost some major ranging support. We lost 66. I mean, if I were to go back to this chart right here, we did have a little bit of a bounce going back and forth between 66,000 and about 72,000. We've lost that support today. While 64 does stay a level I'm watching, the reason why 60K could be in play is not only is it a line that I drew a long time ago, also when you break out of sideways ranges, you usually follow the same length of the range, depth below the breakout. Guess what that price would be? 60,600, give or take $60,000. So again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm sorry. If I find one, I'll let you know. But for right now, while I do think 64,000 is a strong level of support that we should be watching, if that is lost, I just don't see a lot of support between 64 and about 60,000. So more than likely, we'll have to watch those levels. If that area gets lost, if 60,000 is lost, I feel very good about really only needing to fall back down to about 55,000. There's going to be an article later on in the show. We'll talk about another number, but for now, 55,000 is kind of my, I hate the phrase worst case scenario, but sometimes it's the appropriate one to use. I just don't right now foresee us dropping below 55,000. Another reason to potentially see this, we got to go over to our high block over here and take a look at liquidations. And we're going to look at some altcoins with this indicator a little bit later, so pay attention to that. But I kind of have some confirming evidence right now when it comes to our liquidations. If anyone's new to this website, that's the right word. I forget words. What you're communicating right here is positions where either longs or shorts will get liquidated, meaning done away with. So, for example, the brighter the color, the closer to yellow, the heavier amount of positions will be closed out. If it's yellow above the current price action, that means those are shorts. If we were to go back up above 70,000, there would be a multiple millions dollars worth of shorts that would be liquidated. Down here below us, we're looking at levels like 62.6. We're looking at levels like 55.7. These are levels that if we hit them would liquidate millions of dollars worth of long positions. The reason these charts are important is because a lot of times experienced traders and whales, they use these to manipulate the market and the retail investor out of the space. So ultimately, they know right now, hey guys, if we can drop the price below 62,600, we will get rid of a lot of long positions. We'll make all these retail investors scared out of their minds, not want to make any more investments in Bitcoin, and then we get to gobble up a very cheap Bitcoin. Let's short the market and try to get that level out. There's also people looking up here and saying, man, all these people that are so bearish right now, and especially right now, the bears are winning. The bears are in full control of Bitcoin on the shorter time frames. There's a lot of whales and experienced traders saying, you know what? They're getting so cocky. What if we push the market up here above 70,650 and got them scared out of their boots, and all of a sudden we can keep pushing the market to the upside? That's how these charts kind of work, and you'll notice a little bit of a mixed bag. I can't make a prediction one way or the other 100%, but these are the levels of what I'm talking about. We just kind of got rid of a fat level here around 65.7. If I were to go to the monthly chart, this is actually going to give us a little more information on the monthly chart. Let's go over here. Yeah, you can see there's an interesting stack around 64.4. That's why I think that level is very, very important. Of course, we kind of run out of real estate here at 60,000. That's why I think if we lose 64, the next spot is stopping there. But of course, we have a lot of liquidity down at 55 as well. So if we keep the ball rolling below 60, more than likely we'll fill 55 as well. If the bulls take control, though, if we get a bounce somewhere here on 64,000 and the bulls take control because of how fast we dropped, do not be surprised to see a very quick bounce back up. And I'm not going to predict we run all the way to brand new all-time highs at 79,000, but I do think it would be interesting to see us bounce right back up to 72,000 and liquidate all of these shorts and scare those bears back. That's what I'm watching on Bitcoin. I cannot wait to show you what this chart shows you for altcoins. But right now, when it comes to the charts, I'm not necessarily that worried. I told you guys beforehand this was a very real possibility that Bitcoin was going to drop. But before we get into the articles, because the articles are going to be very good, and Tisha and I are going to help break them down to explain them to you very well, I want to make sure you understand what's happening right now, because I think there are a lot of you kind of in your head a little bit. Maybe you're newer to investing. You're watching your portfolio have a lower number in US dollars. You're watching the whatever chart you look at, whether you have blue candles that for bearish like me or red candles or whatever color you use, you're watching those big red candles fall, and it's causing you to freak out. But I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, why are we falling? Is there any actual really good reason we're falling? As a whole, whales are buying up more. The only people selling now are retail investors who really don't know what's going on. We're seeing a lot of things on the political front actually lean towards more of a bullish push later on. There's not any strong reason right now. A lot of people are going to reach for the Jerome Powell and Fed announcement, but guys, we're treating that like he was super hawkish. We're treating the Fed meeting like that was a negative thing for crypto, but it really isn't. We are seeing the dollar kind of respond. I want to show you this chart here real quickly, T-Shim. Go to my screen once again. The dollar is rallying here again, but the dollar is continuing to be in a spot over the macro of setting lower highs. So in reality, a lot of people are freaking out, but they never zoom out and look at what's happening in reality. I see Eric Wallen getting minor capitulation, Tim. Yes, minor capitulation is something we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I'll talk about that. That's another reason some people are freaking out, but I'll explain to you why this area of minor capitulation is not going to be that bad of a thing. Ultimately, I cannot tell you the exact position where. I can tell you the probabilities, like 64,000, 60,000, 55,000. I can't tell you with 100% certainty where the bottom will be, but believe me when I say what's happening right now in Bitcoin is a lot like if you went to a beach. When you go to the beach, the waves don't just sit still like if you're at a lake or a pond. The waves are constantly moving in and out and in and out. And what's happening right now in the world of crypto and Bitcoin is the waves are being sucked out back to sea, and people are freaking out. Is the ocean sinking? I don't even know why we asked the question. But the answer is no. The waves are being sucked out because a massive wave is about to crash back into shore. And that's exactly what's happening now. The whales and the long-term holders are foaming at the mouth. They're waiting in anticipation to buy every single one of the retail investors dumping Bitcoin supply. It's a matter of when, not if. Before we get there, T-Shirt, any quick thoughts from you about anything we talked about there?
Well, I'm just excited, to be back, right? I'm also excited for this event coming up in Nashville. I know that there's going to be a lot of smart people there. They're going to be talking about these issues, right? Minor capitulation. Tim did a great job of explaining it, but it's a complicated subject. It takes an event like Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville to really, get in depth and really have multiple conversations and confirm that you understand it, because it's big, it's important. So I would encourage you all to go check out the link in the description for the Nashville 2024 event. We're all going to be there. We're going to have some fun. Hopefully, get to shake your hand. But yeah, it's crazy, man, and it is very easy for especially noobs to have that feeling that you were describing, where it's like, man, what do I do? I'm in this. A lot of smart people I know have bought Bitcoin, but I feel like it's maybe not for me. And what I would say is hodl on.
Boom. Well, let's jump into headlines now, T-Shum. There's one that I want to start off with here, and it's kind of we're going to segue into it because the headline is pretty much key reasons why Bitcoin is struggling now. But what are the details that go on in this article, T-Shum, that people need to know about?
Absolutely. So these are the key reasons why Bitcoin is struggling now, and I've got to say this is a pretty well thought out article here. Despite equities showing strong momentum, Bitcoin is failing to gather any upward momentum. The key reason for divergence can be attributed to post-halving capitulation by the BTC miners. There's your props, Eric Wallen. In essence, is capping the price at this level. Increasing the costs of operations and lower reward structures results in massive sell-offs by Bitcoin miners, laying on bearish pressure and not allowing the Bitcoin to catch up with good signals on the broader financial market. So a quick kind of analysis there comparing equities to Bitcoin. It really does beg the question, like why stocks go up, why Bitcoin go sideways, and now, as of today, why Bitcoin go down. miner capitulation, which we've already talked about a good amount.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
And I think there's more here, but real quickly, I want to chime in the miners. Because yes, there's a temporary pain that is happening with the miners, but as everything goes lower and there's less demand, there will be an ability for miners to be profitable once again. But even more so, we anticipated this happening. Anyone who's surprised by a select group of miners struggling and having to capitulate wasn't around for the conversations we were having prior to the halving event, when we discussed how this was going to be a very severe one. But ultimately, especially with the institutions dipping into the waters of Bitcoin mining, there's things like CleanSpark who are going to be A-okay, but there's going to be some smaller miners who capitulate. They can't keep up with current prices. They will leave. And ultimately, a part of that manipulation we have been talking about for so long, the wealthy miners, the institutional miners, are completely fine, even if they're in red right now, even if they're paying more in electricity and paying more in services, but they're losing money. It's all a part of a system. Get out the poor, get out the weak. We'll take up the extra demand. I'll tell you right now, guys, I don't like it. That actually semi-weakens the decentralization of Bitcoin. I'm not worried about Bitcoin becoming centralized and being controlled completely. But it is a move by the institutions to do this. And the minute the price gets to where they need it to be, they'll gobble the supply. They'll take the massive majority of the mining. Mining is going to be A-okay. It's just going to get rid of the poor, less fortunate miners. This is only a season that's convenient for whales to manipulate price down so they can buy dips and get wealthy in the future. So like I said, Eric Wallen, thank you for pointing it out. We had it planned. I want you guys to know, while that is temporarily part of a dip, that is still a part of a longer-term reason why Bitcoin price will shoot to the upside. If Bitcoin wasn't going to shoot up, CleanSpark would not want to take all the control of all the mining. They want to get wealthy just like you and I, but if they can find a way to shake out the weak hands, shake out the poor people, they're going to do it, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Let's keep going on, though, because there's a lot more in this article I think is very interesting.
Yeah, we are in for basically a quiet summer with no clear catalyst to drive the market either way and a lower volatility environment. Of course, we've been talking about a bullish catalyst for Bitcoin. We need that in order for price to go higher. Gary Gensler of the SEC, maybe you've heard of him, has given a signal that a spot ETF for Ethereum might get approved towards the end of the summer. But that would not be an immediate catalyst for Bitcoin. The market is just in a holding pattern, waiting for significant news or events to guide it. So, there's a little bit of sweet, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of sour here, and what does that equal? Crab market, right? Even as stocks go higher, even as Bitcoin mining companies go higher. So, there's definitely a lot to digest.
This goes right back on my screen here, T-Shroom. This goes right back to what we just talked about on the charts, the stuff that we talked about back in March. Boring summer, because every single time, I don't know why I second guess myself, guys, because I even said in March, wait for every time we start getting bullish for them to do something to bonk our heads and make us feel bearish, only to bring the price way back down closer to 60,000. And then do not be surprised if for some reason, all of a sudden, there's going to be a lot of bullish stories down around 60,000, 64,000. I don't know exactly how low we're going, maybe 55,000. But the point is, there's not anything, all the bullish stuff that we're looking forward to, like the Ethereum ETF that's going to be coming, the election season that I think is going to bring a boost to the crypto markets. We might have to just endure a very boring couple of months. And I told you guys, this is normal. Take a look at the history of Bitcoin's price. In the history of Bitcoin price, it took, if we had a May 2020 halving event, it took all the way until October to break the highs, the previous highs of that bull cycle. This wasn't the most boring one. It was mostly because we dropped so dramatically from COVID. But as a whole, again, we could not make new highs on Bitcoin for several months after the halving event. You go back even further, all the way back here to 2016. This one, again, we had a good rally only because we had such a significant dip around the halving. Once again, we had a halving event in July of 2016, did not set new highs for Bitcoin's bull market until way over in December. Guys, that's 5 months. You come over here and you look at the first halving event. Take a look right here. We broke bullish actually into the halving event, but did not set, even though we had the halving in November, did not set a new high for the markets until when? January. That was 3 months later. My point is, we historically should not see a move above 72,000 at least until August, maybe into September. That's the reason why we're watching for and potentially expecting a boring, quiet summer and fireworks to take off early in September, October area later on this year.
It's trader's paradise, Tim. Just because price don't go up for hodlers doesn't mean you can't exploit the volatility that comes with sideways pattern movement.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there's another thing I want to talk about here. So we also have been talking about whales here a little bit. There are some mixed signals from whales, and I'm not going to get into the details of this article. Ultimately, the headline speaks for itself. Bitcoin whale dumps $1 billion in Bitcoin amid fears of price drops. Now, some of you want to look at this article and say, hey, Tim, I thought you were just saying the whales were buying, but this whale is selling. And I will say, it's not necessarily a positive thing that a whale moved $1 billion in Bitcoin. But I want to make sure you understand that headline almost makes it look like, and that word right there, dumps. Well, where did they dump Bitcoin? Did they dump Bitcoin for US dollars? That's not necessarily the case. Again, we don't need to go into everything on the article, but ultimately the article says Bitcoin whales have been transferring substantial amounts of Bitcoin to exchanges, specifically a single transaction involving nearly 16,000 Bitcoin valued at over $1 billion was executed. Well, where was it executed? It wasn't executed US dollars. It was simply put back onto exchange. You can go off my screen now here, T-Shroom, but ultimately that is not selling Bitcoin. That is not necessarily capitulating, and it's only one whale. I could show you a plethora of other stories, and in fact, I have been showing you throughout this entire week where it says nothing but whales outflow from exchanges and whales accumulating more and more supply. So just because one whale is feeling a little skittish, a little scared of the markets, they haven't even sold yet, at least according to the information we currently have. Mostly, I actually could easily see that story of 1 billion being moved back onto exchange simply planted to continue to freak out the normal everyday retail investors, all the while they might just be putting it there to move it into some other altcoin. Maybe they want to buy even more. Maybe they want to manipulate the space. These are the types of moves the whales make. Let's continue to read as this develops, but I want to hear way more than one story of a bearish whale before we say, whales are selling, top is in, which is a thing that I've been seeing on the internet today. That right at the moment is very, very false. But this isn't the only one. We also had another key trader, a guy that I heavily respect, T-Shroom, chiming in on Bitcoin. Who do we got here, and what's this next article say?
Yeah, it was Peter Barant predicting Bitcoin price dump before major pump in 2024. We've heard it. We've heard it before. We hear it often, but we don't hear it from Peter Barant very often. Veteran trader Peter Barant has issued a new forecast for Bitcoin's price action, indicating the possibility of a substantial dip before a potential recovery. According to Barant, Bitcoin's current price trends suggest an initial drop below 65,000 threshold, with further declines possibly reaching down to 60,000 and even 48,000. Of course, that would be kind of a Tumpsky there, but. Peter Barant is definitely not keeping it off his list there. 48,000 off the bat. 48. Is that on your bingo card for Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, so you guys heard me see some of those numbers. I want to start off by saying the reason why I love Peter Barant, he was one of the first very influential traders that I learned a lot from. Following him on Twitter, following his analysis on Bitcoin and several other assets helped teach me a lot of the TI I know today. Some of our levels are similar. We're a little different. As I've showed you guys, he talks about if we lose 65. Well, to me, I think the level should be more like 64. We're talking about $1,000 difference, but I'm in agreement with him. If we lose 64 instead of his 65, I think 60K is the next level of support we should be watching. His level below that, he skips some steps. He goes all the way to 48K, which 48K does have a serious level of support there. That is a level where we actually peaked out right after approving the halving event. Right after approving the Bitcoin ETFs. It was the level we got to that was the Fibonacci golden pocket that everyone knew we were going to get back to that level. We just didn't know we were going to break it so soon. I think 48K is possible, but I'm going to go ahead and add into Peter Barant and say, hey, Peter, don't forget about 55. 55, as I even showed you guys in the liquidation charts, has a massive level of liquidity sitting right there that when it gets hit, it'll be a massive blow for bulls getting that low. But then all of a sudden, once 55K is cleared, all the incentive is for whales to send price back to the upside. I also read T-Stream that there's an options expiry. Some of the suppression that might even be happening right now. I think there's an options expiry next week where the max pain point is 55K. So some people are using that as a way to say that's a good reason why we could hit 55K, because a lot of times when you get close to options expiries, it's not abnormal for price to wrestle or at least get closer to it before it happens. The only thing is, it's just there's so much support between us in that spot. And I think it's just so, like, I just, if I'm a long-term whale, long-term holder, you see 64K, you see 60K, that's just too good of an opportunity to scoop up some more Bitcoin, knowing that, just like Peter Brand, I want to make sure you guys understand this. When you think of the way Peter Brand is saying, he's saying we're going to possibly dump before a massive pump. He still has the Bitcoin bull market by the end of 2025 going between $150,000 to $200,000, very similar to levels I've said as well. I think mine's more like 175 to 220. So we're a little off here, but the point still stands. No matter how low we go, even if it is 48, let's say Peter's right and the worst case scenario ends up being 48, I really hope you guys don't see 48,000 thinking that means the bull market is over. That would just lead to an even greater and more epic rally during the second leg of the bull market, which again might not really start until later on this summer.
Yeah. Well, there he is. There's Peter Brand himself, in case you're wanting to put a face to the name. Despite the near-term bearish outlook, Brand also highlights the potential for a bullish reversal. His analysis draws on historical patterns, noting the frequent occurrence of a hump with a slump, then a pump and a dump sequence in Bitcoin's price cycles. We're having fun. Earlier this year, when Bitcoin was trading at 42,300, Brand identified that repeating pattern, suggesting that such volatility is typically during bull markets. He uses these patterns to differentiate between inexperienced traders who tend to sell during downturns and seasoned investors who leverage these cycles to their advantage. Which one are you?
Oh, you're asking me? Which one am I? I don't have enough voting power to go all the way down. Here's the thing: at the end of the day, no matter how low we go, it is not. I really hope people understand. If you had been in crypto longer than just one cycle, you will see these types of moves happen over and over and over. Ultimately, the other thing I want to leave you with is still, let's pretend, guys. Let's pretend that Bitcoin went down to 48K. That still would only be a 32% pullback from the all-time high. These are rookie numbers compared to what Bitcoin has done in past cycles, where we've seen more like 50K, 50% drops, anyone? We had a 53% drop back in May of 2021. We saw another 53% drop before COVID back here in October of 2019. That did not mean the bull market was over. That did not mean we wouldn't go on to set new highs in Bitcoin. These things just happen in crypto because it's still the land of volatility. I just believe the volatility is decreasing more and more every single day. That's going to wrap up the first segment. We're going to talk more about altcoins here in just a second. There was a very interesting article written about some altcoins that maybe are dead. But before then, we got over 900 people in here. Make sure you guys are smashing the like button. Let's get more likes in here. I think I saw 230. We could easily get to 450, borderline 500 before this whole stream is over. But I did want to give a special shout out once again to the sponsors of this video. If you guys enjoy the bros, it's because of people like this. First of all, Bitcoin Conference Nashville, July 25th to 27th. Come hang out. Come see me and T-Shroom and several other top thinkers in the crypto world. Go get your tickets today. And guess what? If you don't get them today, but you're like, maybe I'll come back tomorrow and buy a ticket, the prices will go up. Go sign up today. Come see me and T-Shroom. I want to see your face, and you guys get to meet us in person. Would be awesome. Also, big shout out to Arculus. Again, the #1 cold wallet in the game. If you guys are looking to protect your crypto from hackers, from exchanges going down, or if anything else, make sure you have the best one in the game. That's Arculus. Use code BROZ10. Link down below. BROZ10 will get you 10% off, but you got to act on that now. Thank you once again for them sponsoring. If you guys enjoy the channel, please support our sponsors as they are supporting us. All right, TC, let's get into it. Should we sell these altcoins? What altcoins are we talking about right now? What are the coins on the chopping block that people should consider cutting from their portfolio?
Absolutely. Well, CoinGape.com is where we're looking to for this one. 3 altcoins to sell amid crypto market correction. Let's check them out. Oh, the first one, Cardano. Community dubbed ETH Killer recorded outflows this week as daily losses continue. Daily trading volumes for the asset plunged 32% as sentiment fell, and consistent outflows for ADA places it among altcoins to sell amid short-term losses. Tim, I've not sold any of my Cardano. Have you?
I've not. I think I moved a little bit because I just needed to reallocate my entire portfolio. But of course, I mean, when I saw the headline of this one, I knew it was going to be there. This is the hot topic right now. This is the one that everyone loves to hate on Cardano. There's a couple reasons why I think this is a mistake. Spoiler alert, there's going to be 2 others. I think they're mistakes as well. We'll wrestle through them. But I'll continue to say the same thing I've been saying. It's not altcoin season. We're still in Bitcoin season. Even Bitcoin is not necessarily making crazy moves right now. I told you guys before, and I'll say it again. Don't compare altcoins to memes. Memes are a flash in the pan. They come and go. Ultimately, I'll tell you guys right now, if you want to know another reason why Bitcoin is down, why altcoins are down, what did we just go through over the last month? We went through an entire boom of celebrity coins and nonsense meme coins. If you had fun trading them, good for you. I'm going to imagine a majority of you traded them probably lost money or are going to lose money unless you sell here sooner. But we just went through a whole season where a bunch of new people came into crypto, and probably a lot of them came in through these celebrity and meme coins. And now that those are tanking, they're taking out their frustration on the Bitcoins, on the Cardanos, on the other major altcoins that actually have utility. You want to see some of my evidence as to why I believe that is? Take a look, T-Shroom. This is the Bitcoin chart, the Bitcoin crypto chart. Let's just look at daily charts, right? And I'll zoom in here a little bit. We have, for the most part, except for one little good day here, we have almost 5 days in a row of negative price action in Bitcoin. Some altcoins are even worse than this, right? Are we going to blame potentially, the whole risk on asset is that way? Well, no, because stock markets like the S&P 500, they're continuing to go towards all-time highs, same as the NASDAQ, hitting a brand new all-time high today. Well, maybe you're saying, okay, well, maybe we're just all dipping because commodities are dipping. Well, even though gold's been down here more recently, today gold's actually having a rally, unlike the rest of the crypto space. It's not the risk on assets. It's not the commodities. It is crypto. And the biggest reason why people are probably upset with crypto right now is because of the memes and celebrity coins that promised people so much money and now are causing a lot of people to leave crypto trading at a loss and not wanting anything to do with it. Here's the thing. We've been talking about it. Newer retail investors, they came in and they pumped us up back to 72. But now that they're wanting to flood and flee the space because they're not having a good time, that's when the whales and long-term holders come back in and they buy up that dip, and they're the ones who get to benefit from the wealth that all the retail investors could have had if they had just had a little bit more willpower to hold on. It's not just Bitcoin, guys. Cardano's in that same boat. It's not alt season. Come back in January. If Cardano is not doing well in January, come back to me. We'll talk about it. But until then, this is a project continuing to build some massive things coming this way. We're going to be doing continual updates on a lot of altcoins, Cardano being one of them, reasons why the future is still very, very bright. I especially don't think, let's go, one more thing here. Let me go back to my Cardano chart. If you were going to let go of Cardano, you should have done it way sooner. I'm not a big advocate. Unless you think Cardano is just completely finished and will never hit a new high. If you think there's no pumps left in Cardano, all right, sell it all, find something else. But I'll just tell you right now, we've seen life this bull market. So to sell an asset that is currently down 50% from the high it was at just a couple of weeks ago, that is a colossal investing mistake. This is the time you buy these types of things, not selling them down when they're 50%. So Cardano, no, that's not a sell for me, at least at this time.
Yeah, well, it doesn't stop there, Tim. Can you believe it? Ripple is the next coin on the list here. Ripple has lost Q1 2020-24 steam, although prospects abound for the asset. Daily losses continue to mount for XRP, following the altcoin's market decline and regulatory issues with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Maybe you've heard of them. So Ripple there, getting the black plague there.
Listen, another one, and I understand people's frustration. I'll tell you, of the three of them we're going to look at, I'm probably the least bullish on this one. However, I still think there's a good upside for XRP. If you go to my chart here, we are sitting. This is another thing. You don't sell when it's sitting on the long-term support. We're in a long-term symmetrical triangle pattern that, if it breaks out correctly, should send the price 562. Again, a lot of people were hoping for like $30, $40. That's not happening. Anyone who thought that we were going to get up that high, sorry, we're not getting that high. However, let's just say you're crazy. Let's say you were very crazy today and you purchased XRP and it did this breakout. You're looking at a 11x. That's not a bad investment. Again, is XRP going to break new records? Is XRP going to melt faces the way maybe other coins, smaller coins will? Maybe not. But I'm going to still put XRP, as much as I still think it has question marks, I'm going to put it in the category of saying, hey, it still is at this time worth a long-term investment. They had some interesting news come out here, T-Shroom, but it's not as good as what it looks like on the surface. Ripple and Apple, this is very silent. You don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but Ripple and Apple partner to facilitate tap-to-pay features for making transactions between iPhones. This is good for Ripple. But I am interested because nowhere in the article, until it comes down to the bottom, somewhere right in here, it doesn't talk about XRP. And all it says about XRP is pretty much the price of XRP is yet to reflect success, yet all the XRP army continues to hold their assets. But nowhere does it say that Ripple's actually using XRP. So I want to see clarification on that. If they are, that should be very bullish. If XRP partnered with Apple, that's a very good reason to be bullish on XRP. If it's just Ripple, that will have trickle effects to XRP, but it's not as bullish as it could be. With that said, though, I will say this is the one I would be most likely to sell of the three of them, but I'm still going to leave XRP in the, hey, we're down from where we've been recently. We're sitting on some very strong long-term support. This is the time you actually at least hold, if not add a little bit more to your bag. And again, a 10x, 11x, it's not a bad gain. I think that's in the cards for XRP's future.
Yeah. Well, everybody's favorite coin, Solana, is now on the chopping block as well. Solana trades at $144 per coin as when this article was written, but this week Solana regained the 150 mark before plunging below the resistance level. Known to outpace altcoins and rebounds, Bull express optimism for long-term growth, but short-term losses place the asset in the red zone, and not in a positive American football way. The red zone would be bad, not good. So Solana, when I see Solana on this list, it kind of, for me, it doesn't fully invalidate all of the data and all of the analysis that they put in, but Solana, man, this coin has really outperformed a lot of the top 100 throughout 2023 and 2024. It's been a little bit less of a performer, but to say that this is a coin to sell in a downtrend, it doesn't ring true for me, Tim.
Yeah, same boat with you, T-Shroom. Like, this is another one. We're sitting on level support. If you guys have been watching the show my charts here, T-Shroom. Again, go back. If you want the receipts and you want to go back and do the research because you don't trust my word, that's completely fine. In fact, I encourage you to go back and do it. It gives us extra views. I have been talking about Solana pullbacks for a while now. Some of you guys will remember, way back when we were hitting new highs above 200, I said, guys, don't be surprised if Solana could fall all the way back to 118, 119. People called me crazy. We did it twice. Then we started rallying again, and I said, all right, we might make it back to 200. I was wrong. But don't be surprised if we start to move back down. Don't be surprised to see us pull back at least to around 143. We're below there today. Ultimately, I think there is, I'm not going to say a decent chance, but as we are today breaking below our smart trail, I think another level is going to come into play, 130. If Bitcoin does go further down towards 64,000 or 60,000, don't be surprised to see Solana back down here towards 130 or 118. But those things aren't promised. I still believe Solana. I'm not saying go scoop up a bunch of it today, but even if you did and you had the guts to hold it long term, still I believe that Solana can low end make some. I need to change this price prediction. 700. I don't know why I even have that there. I think the low end, we're talking about $1,000 to $1,100. I think the high end, closer to 2,000, but realistic, I think somewhere here around 1,500, 1,600. We still have a 10x left in it, more than a 10x left in it from today's price. Do not sell coins after they have had big pullbacks. It is down from its high 32%. Could it go a little lower? Absolutely it could. It could come all the way back down here and be down 42% again. That being said, you don't sell, you look for new levels to add more to your bags. Solana right now is the number 4 altcoin, not counting stablecoins. Why? Because there's a big market cap. Why is that market cap so big? Because it has a lot of value in this bull market. I don't know what the future holds. There's a lot of things Solana has to fix, but people believe in Solana. People are building on Solana. Just because we're not seeing excitement today or the last week does not mean you should be selling. It means you should be thanking your lucky stars that you have a discounted Solana and you can scoop up more.
Yeah. It's like everything in the market is almost like trying to get you to forget or question the phrase "buy low, sell high."
Yeah, it's
so
nuts.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
What do you guys think, though, in chat? Let us know. Are we out of our minds? Should we be selling all 3 of these coins, or do you agree that these are actually the perfect times to start looking for entry positions? Real quick, we do have to get into our third segment. It is already 3:46, and we have a fun one. We're going to be talking about taxes, everyone's favorite topic, but this one's going to be fun. A lot of experimentation. We're going to have to be thinking through because there's an interesting plan being proposed to us for the future of taxes. But before we do that, I'm so glad Tishan is back because we get to have a good old factoid of the day.
Bruh.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's get into it. Well, today's factoid of the day, shouldn't be a shock to anybody, is brought to you all by Arculus. Go ahead and check out the link in the description of this video to set up your cold wallet today. It's the one we like. Tim, who said there is an argument that payrolls may be a bit overstated this week? Who was the one that said this? Was it A, Peter Brandt? Was it B, Elon Musk? Or was it C, Donald Trump? Or could it have been potentially Jerome Powell? Who do you think it was, Tim?
I mean, it's very simple because we talked about how funny it would be that a political figure, even though he wasn't elected like Jerome Powell, would critique the president. This was a very easy one. The elf must feel bad for me today or something, giving me such an easy question. This is a very easy D, Jerome Powell.
He's going D, Jerome Powell, but he's very confident. But is he right? That's the key. Oh, and is he right?
That's right. Yeah.
Jerome Powell, he got it right. Excellent job there, Tim. How does it feel? How does it feel?
Not as good. And I'll tell you why. Is because anything that comes easy in life really isn't that valuable. It's the things you have to work for and struggle over. And I was trying to be a little humorous, but that's just a good thought. It kind of goes deep there. So that one did not feel that good because it was a very obvious answer. Mm-hmm. Elf, do better. You can do better. I believe in you.
And there's the individual who may be involved in the payrolls being overstated. Potentially. All right, we're having fun. Well, we're not leaving politics. We just got into it. We're not going anywhere. Donald Trump proposes eliminating all income tax and replacing it with tariffs on imports if elected president. Tim, we did some talking about this before we started the stream. This is a juicy one. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how the conversation goes here. I'm interested to see how chat responds. I put out an interesting Twitter post, and the majority of the answers I got back actually a little bit surprised me. I asked, after seeing the announcement from Donald Trump, I said, what do you guys think taxes, what do you think is an appropriate percentage for you to pay in taxes? And overwhelmingly, I got 0%. Now, if you guys are saying like, and I don't know, if you're saying 0% income tax, I mean, maybe we can't pay zero taxes, people. I mean, we enjoy, even though I don't enjoy the concept of the level of we go with our military, I do enjoy knowing that for the most part, our country is safe from foreign invasion because we have the strongest military in the world. That's a nice thing that helps you sleep at night. It's very nice to know if something goes wrong, and there's a lot of evil in this world, that a quick 3-digit dial on my phone would call police officers to come help me out. If my house catches on fire, the same 3 digits get a fire truck sent to my house. Recently, some of you guys might know this. Even though he's completely okay now and it turns out it was normal, I had my 1-year-old son had what's called a febrile seizure. And when you're a new parent and you have no idea what that is, all you see is your child borderline looking lifeless and shaking. It was very convenient and nice to have a 3-digit number I could dial, and someone came out and checked on my son. So there are things that taxes do that I very much appreciate. However, I think the massive majority of our taxes, we can all agree, what the heck are they doing? I don't think that we need to pay as high as a price as we are paying. I think the number should be higher than zero, possibly, but nowhere near the levels that we are paying, or at least we should be seeing a lot more done for it. I'm a fan of this concept of zero income taxing. We still, of course, would probably have sales tax, obviously. So if you go to the store, you still have to pay that. But this idea of tariffs, I'm interested to get in this conversation with you. What your thoughts are? Is this a pro? Is this a plus? Is this a minus? What are your thoughts about this, teacher?
Well, at first, Tim, I was thinking to myself, this would be impossible. This would be stupid. The income tax is the tax base for the United States. And without even bringing in money printing, right, and the U.S. military being the strongest in the world, without even bringing those two variables in, I thought to myself, well, what is the big question here? And it does seem to be, on net, would American domestic economy actually gain or lose if you eliminated the income tax and replaced it with tariffs on imports? So one thing to keep in mind is that the tweet only says tariffs on imports, not exports. And again, my initial thought was, no way. There's no way this could be. But actually taking a look at the numbers, guys, look, in 2023, exports by goods and services was 3 trillion, right? Imports, while it decreased a little bit, it was at 3.8 trillion, right? Now, Tim, a lot of people don't know that. I didn't realize this, but the amount of revenue that comes in through income tax for the U.S. federal government is only 4.4 trillion, according to U.S. Treasury fiscaldata.gov. I mean, I can't see that this would be wrong. 4.4 trillion is not. It's in the same ballpark as what we bring in through imports. Now, obviously, there's a lot more math to be done with going good by good and service by service, and actually adding a tariff percentage, right? That would be equivalent to the percentage that is taxed on the American income. Federal income taxes, but it's in the ballpark. It could potentially be done. So yeah, it's interesting.
Well, and of course, if he increases the tariffs, if we get rid of the income tax, there'll still be sales tax and everything, but he'll increase the tariff tax. And I've already seen someone here in chat. I have a fun demonstration for you guys. I prepared this on my very beautiful chart. You guys thought I could only chart prices? No, we can create pictures for what's going to happen. So someone here in chat said, no, if we increase the tariffs, all of a sudden everything would get more expensive. Well, I have a fun demonstration I want to show you guys on the circle of life this would bring to this little guy right here, and I'm going to name him Johnny. Now, guys, Johnny is just a good old American boy. He's sitting here. He's trying to figure out how he can continue to provide for himself and his family with a roof over his head, food on his table, and, gets to have some fun on the weekends from time to time, live life a little bit. Well, here's the thing. If we were to remove all income tax, Johnny would become very, very happy Johnny. There we go. This is happy Johnny right here. If he didn't have to pay any income tax, he's probably at least paying closer to 20%. If he makes a decent amount of money, he's probably paying maybe even 30%. But guess what? No income tax. Johnny has more money in his pocket, and he's a very happy Johnny. Now, you guys are right. If we do this, if we take away income tax and increase the tariff tax, that will make goods and services more expensive. Well, that should make Johnny very sad, right? He was happy about no income tax, but now he's realizing, well, everything I go to the store and buy, it's more expensive. But here's the issue. Why is everything more expensive? Because instead of going and importing goods from other countries that are cheaper, they're going to American goods and services just like Johnny. Well, guess what happens when instead of going to China and Indonesia and Pakistan, they go to Johnny to purchase their goods and services so they can build their product? All of a sudden, Johnny makes more money and Johnny is very, very happy. So ultimately, I don't know the exact equation, but it is one of those things that, yes, goods and services would get more expensive. But if we were to lower income taxes, that would increase people's pay. if we were to bring more jobs and distribution to America, that would increase not only people's pay, but would give more people here in the United States pay. We'd see legitimate job numbers, not the fake one we just saw here about a week ago of 772 or 272,000 new jobs that really went to no Americans. We could actually see people working, making more money, saving more money, and ultimately, my prediction would be a net benefit. I don't think there's a likelihood that all of this actually ends up happening. I think there's probably even enough people within the Republican Party that would block Donald Trump from getting this done. But the more I look at it and think about it, I don't think it would be a net negative on the average American. Yes, you're going to be paying more for your steaks and your milk, and you're paying more for your cars and being paying more for your bicycles and your roofs and your houses. But ultimately, if you're making upwards of twice as much money as you were before, but everything increased in price by 10, 20%, you're the one that comes out on top with more money in your pocket, more wealth in your pocket. You can go invest into Bitcoin.
Yep. Now, I have a bit of an anecdote to share. So I was top of my class notoriously at the college I went to in macroeconomics, and I paid attention. I really did. I did enjoy it. And there's a little thing called deadweight loss. And I'm not going to get into the voodoo of all this that goes on, but essentially in the supply and demand analysis, there is actually these orange triangles represent the economic value that is lost through tariffs. Why? Because China labor rates are lower than the United States, so they can make a widget, they can make one chapstick cheaper than in the United States, and certainly other countries like Switzerland, right? So what happens is when you institute tariffs and you de-incentivize importation and manufacturing outside in more economically efficient countries, China, low labor market, you actually lose economic value because you're not exploiting that lower labor rate. Now, that may have been gobbledygook, but did that kind of make sense, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and by the way, it wouldn't matter if I didn't think it did. I wasn't top of my class in economics. So you were, so I have to listen to you for this.
Well, absolutely. And so the big question then becomes, is it worth it? Are these economic losses, these deadweight losses in the supply and demand curve of global trade worth it? And the answer, Donald Trump is like, yeah, they're worth it because we need to put America first.
Yeah.
Is he right? We'll see. It's an interesting one for sure.
What says you, people? What says you? Yay or nay? Is a zero income tax, increased tariffs, yay? Or is it a nay? I think all of you can agree we should lower taxes. The question is just how.
Yeah. Robert DeVoe has an interesting input here. He said, this is funny. So all U.S. raises tariffs. The other countries do the same. So all the goods in the U.S. sell to countries, forget about it. It's too expensive for them to buy. Companies go bust. There will be a lot of losers if you institute a blanket tariff on global trade. I can't imagine that there's many countries that have more consumers than the United States by dollar amount and by population. There's going to be winners and losers from this. But who are the winners? Definitely American citizens, right?
Yeah.
Who don't have to pay income taxes, right? That's an extra 30 cents on the dollar that Americans can keep. Putting in new pools, that's expansion of new pool guys. Getting higher internet, that's expansion of internet people, workers, and go on down the line. Now, we didn't throw in the variables. There's another variable that I want to say that we're assuming isn't part of this thought process. The first two I already said, but the third one is the labor market's effects from AI, right? There's a lot to be said there. And Johnny got happy again. Why? Because the labor market kind of comes back in swing and really powerfully brings the economy back. Well, what happens when AI steals all our gerbs, right? It's going to be a little bit more complicated then.
Yeah. Yeah, again, there's a lot of things there. We got to kind of sort out. Someone said, "Oh, groceries would be an issue." Well, there's definitely still places in the South for sure, and out west that can grow good groceries. But I think there would be elements and levels of common self tariffs by saying, "Hey, this product, whether it be food product or something else, is not possible to create inside the United States. Therefore, we do not have a tariff on that one." But then when it comes to like vehicles, when it comes to supplies for construction, all these other things that can be manufactured in the United States just for a higher price, I think there's actually some common sense to saying, let's get the American people working again. yes, things will be more expensive, but when everyone makes more money because everything stays in the US, they can afford to pay higher prices. And especially if they're not paying income tax as well, yeah, maybe cars go to being $100,000 per year, and when they used to be only like 50 to 60,000. But guess what? You're going to go from having a job that paid 100,000 to like $200,000 a year. You'll more than be able to afford it and have a nicer lifestyle than you did before.
And as Tim and I were discussing this before the show, the reality is that the economic model required to really give a would this benefit or would this not benefit, is Trump right or is he wrong? The immensity of the economic model you'd have to generate to get a right or wrong answer would be huge, because you have to consider all these different variables, not to mention AI, not to mention a lot of things. But the question does come up is, would Trump do it? And he would, because he's done it before. The Trans-Pacific Partnership was the very first thing that Donald Trump took action when he became president in 2016. The TPP, you may remember it, I certainly did, was a proposed trade agreement between 12 Pacific Rim economies. I won't name them, but notice what name isn't on here: China and the U.S. So all of these economic powerhouses outside of China, and you might see some that aren't economic powerhouses like Malaysia and Vietnam, but the point is that there was a huge partnership that was years in the making, that would have given United States disproportionate trade access to all these countries that do trade with China. Donald Trump, day one, canceled it. We were completely out of that. After taking office, the newly elected president Donald Trump formally withdrew the U.S. from the TPP in January 2017. That was massive. And guys, politics, in my opinion, is like 80% trade agreements. Yeah. It's 80% commodities and families and groups that have dominated the trade of cement, of silicon, of lithium, of just commodities that you or I, working at Burger King, working even in selling insurance, we never think about at all. We never think about, what it takes to manufacture soy in the United States versus manufacturing it in Brazil, right? Because, maybe you do think about that. You're more than likely much more wealthy than we are, if those are the types of things you're thinking about day in and day out. But overall, it's very interesting. The original TPP contained measures to lower both non-tariff and tariff barriers to trade and establish an investor-state dispute settlement mechanism. Boy, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, look this one up on your own time, the ISDS mechanism. But the overall point is, Trump has done it before, right? This is what he canceled. This lowered non-tariff and tariff barriers. He's done it before. I don't know if he's bluffing on this one, Tim.
Hey, again, I think it should work out net positive for everybody. We'll do like a couple of Q&As here as we transition to lead the show. I noticed only 381 likes, T-Shroom, despite the fact that we still have over 800 people watching. This is, I think there's maybe been one show before, like while we were live one day, I think Bitcoin dropped dramatically, and so everyone wanted to watch. Or maybe it rallied dramatically. I don't know. But as a whole, today's been one of the top viewed days. You guys have been awesome. But you do guys smash the like if you've enjoyed the episode. Let's see. Sierra Brooklyn really wants me to look at the chart for Bitcoin, saying that the bull flag is still in play on Bitcoin. Now, they said 118. I don't think it's 118. If this was a bull flag, you kind of could probably get away with saying it's something along the lines of, this is not, it's not even a flag. Okay. We'll just go with that one. It is what it is. Could this send us up possibly to 115? Maybe we'll have to wait and see there. I think we're getting there one way or the other, whether we do it via a bull flag or not, Sierra. No matter how far we pull, even if we pull back down to 48K, that's way down here, I still see Bitcoin making a move like this later on this summer and going up, 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 and to the right for a very, very long time. Thank you, though, for the comment. Was there anything else here? We don't have a lot of time to do TA here. We're going to be wrapping up shows more often here, right around 4 o'clock. But I do love all of you guys a lot. And in our new tradition, instead of doing this at the beginning of the show, because we really want to get in and get you guys into the crypto information, we're going to start wrapping out all of our shows with the classic T-Shroom quote of the day. T-Shroom, what do you got for us today?
Before a trader learns how to make money in the markets, their first challenge is to learn how to lose properly. That one from our boy, Peter Brandt. We heard from him twice now on the show.
Listen, Peter Brandt dropping the truth bombs. Guys, that is a part of trading. It's a part of investing. You don't appreciate how great it can be until you've had a couple little losses. Cannot agree with Peter Brandt anymore. I know a lot of you want to see some more altcoin TA. We'll try to get some more in tomorrow during our Saturday live show at 11 a.m. But if you want to see a lot of it, make sure to join our VIP trading group. I am doing TA for our audience all the time over there. All you got to do, purchase the greatest trading indicator in the world. That's Lux Algo. You come into Discord, let us know you purchased it via a ticket. I get you in there. You see top trades happening right now. I do the TA for you so you can invest correctly moving forward. With that said, though, I love each and every single last one of you. Smash the like on the way out. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed the content and don't want to miss a single thing that we put out. See you guys tomorrow morning. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shouted out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots that bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.